Okay, another couple of tests on comparing the 4K Hikmicro Alpex, which is on the right, and the new Alpex Pro on the left. So we're just in sort of late afternoon daylight. We've got about an hour or two till sunset, so there's plenty of light about. It's a lovely evening. So just have a look at some of the closer range stuff. We've been looking long range out to 300 meters and beyond. So we're in the garden now. We've got approximately 70 yards down to the end there where the compost heap is. So air rifle, rabbitting, ratting and squirrel type territory. Lots of things to see on detail close up. Hopefully it's showing through on the video later, but the screen on the Pro is much brighter than the 4K. The 4K, I've got the iris shut down a little bit to what I think is roughly the same size lens hole as the Pro has, just to see. Opening it up much more at the moment doesn't really seem to make much difference. There's plenty of light out there for both of these scopes to work through the viewfinder. So we're on minimum mags at the moment. To say the Pro is much brighter, more vibrant greens and colours, but the the 4K is perfectly acceptable. So let's have a look. They're both focused at the moment on the compost heap at the end at 70 yards, so I will try and focus them. Obviously the Pro has the advantage here. So we'll look at that tree. 22 yards. 22 yards, so they both agree on that one. The reticule's a little bit more difficult to see through the on there, but that's probably just my colour selection. Obviously, if you're used to these, the view you get through the range through the scope is better than the video. So there we are, that's sharp enough. Nice detail. A bit more tricky on the 4K, somewhere about there. So let's zoom in and see what we get. 14 mag, that's plenty for most people to shoot. A little bit more focus on the 4K. Pretty much there on the Pro. Again, a lot easier to do. Nice detail on the bark. Again, I can see a lot whiter bark showing in the Pro than in the 4K. And I'd say the Pro's got a slightly better depth of field. I can see a little bit more detail behind the tree with the leaves on the decking in slightly more focus. It's still a bit blurry, but not as blurry as the 4K, which is interesting. Okay, let's swing across, and let's zoom right in just to see. So all the way to 24. Another quick tweak on the focus, in and out and back again to about there. So a similar magnification, 24, and then all the way into the full 28. As I've said several times in the video, I can't actually see a magnification difference through the two scopes. It shows up on the video. As I say, I'm assuming that is because partly the clarity is better, which always makes you think the zoom is higher, but also the screen in the Pro is much bigger. So it's basically you're standing closer to the TV to a certain extent, which will make it look about the same. So okay, the Pro hasn't got as much zoom, which a lot of people are complaining about, but I don't really think it makes any difference through the eyepiece. This is all digital, so it's sort of numbers in theory, in space. So let's come back out again. Oh, automatically turning the top turret on the Pro again. Muscle memory doesn't used to going back to a normal modification. So I've got this on continuous for people who want to see more of the zoom steps on the 4K, but I would normally have it on just before it jumps all the way up. Okay, as it's just gone past Easter, I've got an Easter egg box down here. This one's empty because obviously I finished it, but it's got some interesting patterns and colours and writing on it. We'll see how we can see it through both scopes. So that is 39 yards, 40 yards on that one. Let's try that one over there. 39 yards, 40 yards. Okay. So this would be sort of 40 yards is getting on for the upper end of the 12 foot-pound air rifle. Let's have a focus. So that's nice and quick and easy. What we got? Let's come back down to it all the way up. There we go. Into 10 meg on the 4K. There we go, so we can read that easily, relatively. Okay, so they both focus pretty good. The detail is much better on the Pro, however you can actually see the swirls and patterning on the blue of the egg shape. A bit harder to see on the 4K, and it's definitely a darker picture. I could increase the brightness, I guess. Still no, even on 10 it's nowhere near the colour of the Pro on 5, and I'm pretty certain this doesn't show up on the video. I'll have a look when I'm editing and we'll see that. Let's go into maximum on. Okay, so through the focus, back down, about there, out the other side. Yeah, and all the way in here. Okay, definitely getting pixelation on the wording in the 4K in the viewfinder. None on the Pro. Again, still a brighter image. Nice detail on the green leaves. Let's come back out. There we go. Yeah, the pine cone on the top as well, not quite so noticeable or in the 4K. Definitely nice and clear on the Pro. Okay, back out again. As I say, this compost heat is 70. We're still focused on the 4K on the box. There we go, that's better. So there we go again. What are we on? 11, 14. Alright, 14 and a half on both. So again, through the viewfinder, Pro still nice and vibrant. The compost heaps kind of look dirt coloured through the 4K, whereas you can definitely see green on the grass that's been thrown on it in the Pro. Is that necessary to shoot something down there? No, I think a rabbit or a squirrel at 70 yards would stand out fairly well, but it's nice to have all the definition. As I say, it makes you feel a larger magnification the more clarity you can see, which means you'll use a lower mag and that'll give you a wider field of view to make scanning easier. So let's come right in. Again, focus in the 4K is a double faff, one reaching forward and two reaching over the Pro that's bolted to the side of the 4K. All the way in. So there are definitely a lot more detail and clarity in the Pro. Now we're focused at the 70 yards. Let's just scan back to minimum mag. Okay, so we're focused down the bottom there. And looking through them, looking at the daisies by the Easter egg box through the viewfinder anyway, they look slightly more in focus in the 4K than the Pro. I don't know whether, although the iris is down to the same size, whether that's helping increase the depth of field. That shut it all the way down, definitely made the picture darker, but again has given you a much greater depth of field where it's focused, or more clearer for a longer range space than the Pro, which you can't do that on. I'm sure somebody will come up with some clip-on iris lenses they have for the light to help increase that. It means, but I think with the focusing mechanism, as you can see, we can focus up and down the garden quite easily with the side focus, so I don't think that's quite as necessary. you don't need to worry about the parallax. It's out of focus, so if something comes in, you can always shoot at it. You're not going to have to worry that your crosshair is not in the right place. It'll just be slightly blurry. So yeah, that's a good test. I'm going to do this again, hopefully just after this. By the time it gets dark and film this in the dark, I've got a new illuminator to play with, which I hope will improve the Pro's night performance at longer range. And to be honest, I generally use one with the 4K anyway, so it's not a huge leap of faith to stick one on. So we'll look at that in a minute.